Welcome to the 74 Escape Gallery and Store Meet the Designer series. I'm Konca and I'll be introducing you to some of the Turkish designers who are part of the store this year. The 74 Escape Gallery and Store celebrates and champions homegrown talent, emerging from a heightened sense of solidarity and unity after the last difficult 6 months. Let's meet the designers. Hi everyone, my name is Konca. I'm a stylist and consultant based in London, and today I'll be interviewing lovely Güneş, who's the founder of the brand Mehry Mu. Hi Güneş, how are you?
Hi my love, I'm very well, how are you?
I'm well, I'm in Istanbul. I wanted to quickly get to how you started your brand and what's the story of your brand, Mehry Mu.
Well, I started Mehry Mu I started it 11 years ago. I was running sorry, my daughter is just, come say hi. Say hi. Hi.
Hi.
We're talking about Mehry Mu and we'll get to talk about Paybox as well, maybe. She's the muse to my most popular styles.
Oh.
So yeah, we're in Bodrum with the whole family. So we can have some interruptions during our session. So sorry about that. So I started the brand 11 years ago. At the time, I was running an e-commerce website in Turkey where I was selling things that I liked, that I found in Turkey that weren't necessarily big brands, but that were unique things and that simply had a voice. And some time passed, and I couldn't find bags to sell online. It was a time where, you know, it was either very, very high-end bags, or it was a new contemporary category that necessarily didn't have that special touch, that special uniqueness, none of it. So I had a few meters of ikat fabrics that I bought in the Grand Bazaar. I'm an avid collector of fabrics. So I wanted to take them to a producer in Turkey. And the interesting thing is, at the time in Turkey, we had many artisans, but all they were able to do was fake bags, unfortunately. So I went to them and they were like, well, you know, what are we gonna do with your few meters of fabric? We're already happily producing all these Gucci's and Chanel's. What are we gonna do with this? But of course, we started a wonderful friendship with my first producer, and he produced these tote bags for me, which I was making for my website, as I said. But I thought it had to have its own name, its own soul, its own. So it was a private label kind of situation, but I wanted to have its own identity. So I called it Mehry Mu. So Mehry in Persian means Güneş, which means sun in Turkish. Well, people who speak Persian say that that's not the case, but people who know about old Persian, so when you go into the, you know, really like, when you look at it historically, it means like sun, sunshine. You're gonna say, why Persian? I have no idea. I always had this gravitation towards Eastern culture, so I wanted it to be Persian. And Mu is the first two letters of my last name, and the logo has a sun in it, and the sun is embedded in a Moroccan tile. And at the time, I'd never been to Morocco. I always wanted to go, so I went there before actually going there with my brand. And the inspiration came from, obviously, I'm Turkish, so it came from the Ottoman Empire, but I also wanted to make it a really, really East meets West brand with functional Western forms, but I had to have that touch of Eastern aesthetics. But in time, it did evolve into, but we'll get into that. So now it's not just East meets West, but it's like a very much travel-inspired handbag brand. But to come back to cut a long story short, I started it 11 years ago, and then it kind of had claimed its own life, basically. The brand just started as a little project within the website. but then I had my son, and it was 2009, and there was a big economical crisis in the world back then, just as there is now. And so I thought, I'm just going to do the bags now. This is what I like doing. And then it kind of took off from there, and it became yeah. Now it has its own life.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story, and you've basically followed your heart around when it was a very unstable time then. And yeah, it's lovely to hear. So now you're talking about the journeys, and 74 Escape is quite a lot about how the designers go and what they're inspired by in their journeys. So if you could talk to us about what some of the most unforgettable escapes that have inspired the identity and growth of your brand.
Oh, definitely, with pleasure, especially at a time where I cannot travel as much as I used to. Well, Capri is definitely an escape that has contributed to the identity of the brand. It's not an Eastern spot, but it's definitely extremely rich in culture and heritage, and beautiful summers, beautiful people, laid back luxury, understated sophistication. These are all very dear concepts to the brand. I like the brand to be, I like it to be very feminine, very sophisticated, but I also like it to be very, very laid back. I don't like it. I hate it when it takes itself seriously. Mehry Mu never takes itself seriously. It's always very playful, very light, but it also takes its customers very, very seriously. So it's, whenever I design something, whenever I put something out there, I make sure that it's really, really special, and it's an object of desire, and it's a love thing. So Capri is definitely like that, with the with the sandals, with the with the corals, with the lemons, and the people, and the history of the island. So Capri is definitely one of them. Marrakesh, it's completely different than Capri, but then they do again share the elegance. Marrakesh is very oriental, but it's also extremely, in my eyes, it's extremely very, very elegant. So I like it when all these elements come together. I'm very much inspired by Marrakesh's pink city situation, the terracotta tones, the orange trees, the desert, and just a touch of Orientalism that they have there. But it has a lot of soul, and it's, at the end of the day, it has a lot of richness, but it's also a very, very simple place. So it's always a dance between the two. Where else? Istanbul, definitely. It's not an escape, but it is an escape for people. It can be an escape for people who live in it, and that's why we're very, very. I don't know if you miss it, but if you miss living in Istanbul, but definitely Istanbul. I actually did a trip for 9 women from London and Paris back in November 2019 to show my Istanbul around, and I was really excited to be able to show my own hometown from a lens where it's a city to be, that has so much richness, and definitely emphasizes the East meets West concept. And last but not least, obviously the list can go on and on, but I did this very interesting trip to I went to Art Basel last December, and from there my husband and I, we went to Savannah and Charleston. We drove there, and that definitely became a part of my favorite escapes, because I lived in States for a few years. I studied in the States. I come from an American education background, but that America was like real America for me. It was really, really interesting. The architecture, the people, the warmness, and the food. Definitely the food. The food is always a part of my escapes. Again, that's how it moves my brand. So again, it gives you comfort. It gives you, it makes you happy. It's very, very leisurely, and that's how I like Mehry Mu to be.
So how does travel, you've really answered quite a few of my questions in this one question, which is wonderful. So I'll just take a different turn and ask you if you get inspirations from places that you've never been and that they inspire you in a way that it's a dream place, but you haven't been there, but your women, your inspirational women travels there. So is there anywhere around the Mediterranean or in the world that the Mehry Mu woman travels to?
Yes, actually, there's two. I've never been to Bali. Really, really want to go there. Actually, during lockdown, I had the fantasy of even moving there, and I did a lot of research of moving there with my family and even moving my production there. Um, so I feel like the craftsmanship there, and again the sorry, Faye is back again. Faye, Jim. So later, Faye. Okay, come sit with me if you like. Sorry, Konja. She's a great travel companion. She loves traveling. So I'm very excited about. I mean, I had read an autobiography of Diane Fontesbury, which I'm sure all of us did at some point in our lives. I think I was in college when I read it, and she had this period where she lived in Bali for a while. I hadn't consciously thought of that for years, and then one day I thought, oh my goodness, that book shaped my future, because I was really inspired by how she created a brand, and it was an extension of her lifestyle, a lot of things, right? That brand symbolizes a lot, many things. And so yeah, the period where she lived in Bali, it's through her eyes, and I went back to reading that book. Would have been it's that's how I'm not there yet, but I'm inspired basically by it. And the other one is Tulum, Mexico. I've never been. All of my friends went. It's because I was supposed to. I met my husband in Dubai, and I was supposed to move to New York, and that next year. But I met him, so I moved to Istanbul, and then he moved to Istanbul, and we got married, etc., etc. So I didn't move to New York. But all my friends who moved to New York and who lived in New York obviously kept going to Tulum, and I never had the chance. And I was hoping to this year, but because of actually we were going to go this summer. We wanted to go this summer, but we weren't able to go. And of course, all the temples and the spirituality and fabrics and nature. Those are all elements that really, really speak to me. Speaking of which, obviously spirituality is very, very important. Not in the sense that everybody is a meditator nowadays, which is great. Everybody should be doing their meditation. But I've always chased signs. I've always believed in the cosmic magic. So spiritual places, places that have that vibe, that strength, that can relay that to me, are also sources of inspiration. And speaking of which, autumn winter 2021 we did get into that a little bit with that collection, with the agate healing stones, etc. So I'm going to go deeper into that for SS21, because we are going through a time where we need some healing.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how is your brand tied to Turkish culture and our geography, heritage, and history?
I'm going to be very frank about this. When I first started, it was very much tied to the culture. I was very much inspired by Ottoman, the sophistication, the fabrics, the jewels, harem, all that, right? We would need a whole new session just to talk about, the depth of that. And I'm still very much inspired by all of that, obviously, because it was also a gateway to not just our own culture, but it was a gateway to many, many cultures. And I found that for the first few years of my brand, because it was so attached to my hometown, my own roots, embellished with other Oriental spots, but still at the core was the Ottoman Empire and Istanbul and Turkey, right? Even what happened was people would stop me on the street with my bags. The end user I would be constantly, whenever I would be traveling, I would be constantly stopped on the street and to ask, where's your bag from? Where's your bag from? But the buyers outside of Turkey, as I said, I'm going to be very frank with this. It was a challenge for me. It was a big, big challenge for me to have that that culture or that Oriental touch accepted into stores. It was, and I would see like other big brands borrow from the I don't know the Selçuk Star or the Fatima's hand. I used to use those symbols and reference points. So some brands would use it and then it would be part of their collection. It would vanish, right? But if it was a brand that was fully constructed on those, it was a challenge until it was 2015 that we managed to get an interview with Vogue UK, and that interview changed a lot of things and the angle was that I was actually helping Turkish producers get out of producing fakes. So that was a breaking point. And then I know you didn't ask about this, but I'm going to come back to, I'm going to come full circle. That was a breaking point, which followed by a very serendipitous meeting with Joe Malone, the person, Joe Malone, the founder of Joe Malone, the brand, who now does Joe Loves, another fragrance brand that she built after selling Joe Malone. And she was on a tour in Istanbul where again serendipitously through a friend at Vogue UK, I met her, and she invited me to London to show my bags at her store. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this because what she did for me was really, really incredible. At the time, I was still doing trunk shows in London, at Lulu's, at these very, very high-end places to these wonderful group of women. But again, it was always direct to consumer. It was always the end user, the buyers, the press. They didn't want to acknowledge this Eastern inspired brand. And what happened was we did this thing with Joe at her store for 3 days. And at the last day of the thing, Debonair von Bismarck, she walked in. She was passing by the street. And Debonair is extremely, extremely progressive when it comes to picking like kaftans and things and, pillows as like jewelry. And she came in and she said, I would love to sell your bags at my store. And we started a wonderful, my brand and her store, we started a wonderful friendship then. And years passed and we're still working together. And she was one of the first like London established women to acknowledge a cultural brand into the fashion scene. To answer your question, and then I kind of had to navigate from the Fatima's hand and the stars and all that like very Eastern looking vibe, even though it was a very Western package, it still had those elements. So I kind of carried that into a more fashionable foundation where I started working on the Faye box. The Faye box is a box bag that has elements of my logo. It has a flap on it, which still is reminiscent of my Moroccan style logo, but it's much more understated. And it's covered with leather and rattan, like a cane rattan. And at the time, we were, to my knowledge, we were the first contemporary brand to use that material. So slowly it shifted towards a more travel inspired. So then you can also say this is a French chair. This is a French wicker chair that has come together with a touch of a Moroccan tile in a 50s box bag situation. So I kind of took the direction there, which was a new challenge, which was great, which was meant to be. I'm not sad about that. I'm on the contrary, I'm very happy about that. And after we had all this success, very hard-earned success with the press, with the buyers, with all the wonderful stores that we started working with, and with the celebrities that lovingly started wearing the brands, the bags, etc. It all came full circle. And as a tribute to my own culture, for this winter collection, which is now just coming out, um, autumn winter 2021, I did go back to the roots. So I used a rug pattern, which was very hard to get. We Fırat Neziroğlu, a Turkish artist, a weaving artist, consulted with us on this. He himself is an avid. He's very passionate about bringing old Turkish techniques to the to the global platform, and he was actually commissioned by the Buckingham Palace to weave a portrait of Queen Elizabeth, and he was filmed by BBC, and he's going to be COVID permitting, he's going to be presenting the portrait to the Queen herself. So he helped me with the rug thing, and so now we have a kilim bag, and we did use a lot of Turkish elements. Like, I don't want to go much deeper into it, but we did use and now as a brand, we're not even halfway there to what I want to do with the brand, obviously, but we're much more established now. So we are able to, and the world has also, over the last 10 years, it has also come into a place where these things are more accepted and people are curious about low cultures.
It's true.
You asked me a question, and I won't stop.
I love it. I love it. It's really informative as well, and it's very inspiring for anyone who's listening to this and who wants to take a route to become a designer. So it's wonderful. Unforgettable Mediterranean escape, and your favorite summer stays in Turkey.
And but I always come back to Turkey, to Bodrum, and I love this house so much. I am here right now. I've been coming here, as I said, the last 20 years. My children, since they were day one, they grew up here, and we have a nice little community here. So we're very lazy about going around here. Our house is very close to Maçakızı Hotel, and we just basically go there, and there's another fish place in Gündoğan that we go to, and there's a cream place that my children love, and those are the three places that we go to. But of course, if we had more time, I would be happy to share all my other finds that I rarely go to.
So going from Maçakızı Hotel, we can finally talk about 74 Escape Gallery and Store. So what this means to you, to be amongst a selection of homegrown talent, and which pieces we can find in the store when we go today?
Well, first of all, as I said, I love Maçakızı. It's the only place I ever want to go when I'm here. So that's a plus for me, that the bags are there. I'm very passionate about Turkish brands finding a voice. I actually help a lot of brands who help I just help them. I don't ask for anything in return. I also help bag brands if they ask my opinion. And you have one of them, Kai Rossi. Obviously, I'm very, very passionate about helping Turkish brands. So it's good that I'm amongst friends who we started together years ago, and amongst other newly found talent that needs to have a voice. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful spot to show our designs in a wonderful summer setting. And I visited the store. I loved it. I love how it's situated, how it's curated, how it looks. Everything speaks to each other. All the products speak to each other. So yeah.
And what can we find from your collection in spring summer 20 when we go to the store?
We have our signature rattan cha-cha bucket. It's called a cha-cha bucket. It's not the box bag. It's a bucket bag with rattan and hand woven leather around it. We have the Lucia tote, which is again a hand woven raffia bag with gold handles. Again, that's very much correlated with my love for jewelry. And what else do we have? And we have the Cha-Cha Golden Rope series, which are all hand captain. We started making these bags with him a few years ago, and one day I said to him, let's make golden, like very elegant golden rope bags. And we have a very popular style of ours this summer. It's the Cha-Cha egg. So it's an egg, it's a golden egg made out of rope. So what the common ground for all these bags is that they were all handmade. The Cha-Cha series is made by our captain, and the bags, the other bags, the raffia one and the rattan and the leather one are handwoven by women. We have that aspect as well. So they're all easy summer bags.
Thank you so much for being with us today for 74 Escape Gallery, and it's been a pleasure interviewing you. And yes, have a lovely summer.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, truly. Thank you so much, Konca. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Faye. Bye bye.
Say bye, Faye.